Namo Adidafa. Thanks so much for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This wonderful sound calls us back to our true home. The fourth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I vow to cultivate loving speech and deep listening in order to bring joy and happiness to others and to relieve others of their suffering. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I'm determined to speak truthfully with words that inspire self-confidence, joy, and hope. I will not spread news I do not know to be certain and will not criticize or condemn things of which I am not sure. I will refrain from uttering words that can cause division or discord, or that can cause the family or community to break. I'm determined to make all efforts to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. For our Dharma lessons, we've been reading Taming the Monkey Mind, A Guide to Pure Land Practice by Buddhist scholar Cheng Wei-an and Dharma Master Suddhisukha. Today we're continuing in Appendix 1, which is The Bodhi Mind by Dharma Master Thich Tam. We're reading Point 3, The Mind of Compassion. We ourselves and all sentient beings already possess the virtues, embellishments, and wisdom of the Buddhas. However, because we are deluded as to our true nature and commit evil deeds, we revolve in birth and death to our immense suffering. Once we have understood this, we should rid ourselves of the mind of love, attachment, hate, and discrimination, and develop the mind of repentance and compassion. We should seek expedient means to save ourselves and others, so that all are peaceful, happy, and free of suffering. Let us be clear that compassion is different from love attachment, that is, the mind of affection attached to forms which binds us with the ties of passion. Compassion is the mind of benevolence, rescuing and liberating, detached from forms, without discrimination or attachment. This mind manifests itself in every respect, with the result that we are peaceful, happy, and liberated, and possess increased merit and wisdom. If we wish to expand the compassionate mind, we should, taking our own suffering as a starting point, sympathize with the even more unbearable misery of others. A benevolent mind, eager to rescue and liberate, naturally develops. The compassionate thought of the Bodhi mind arises from there. For instance, in a situation of war and famine, the young who should be cared for by their parents grow up orphans, helpless and forsaken. Likewise, the old, ideally, are supported by their children. However, their children having been killed prematurely, they are left to grieve and suffer alone. Witnessing these examples, our hearts are moved and we wish to come to their rescue. The compassionate thought of the Bodhi mind, which up to that time had not developed, will spontaneously arise. Other examples. There are young men endowed with intelligence and full of health with a bright future who are suddenly cut down by bullets and bombs. There are also young women in their prime who suddenly lose their parents and family members upon whom they depend for support and therefore go astray, or they become orphans, their future livelihood and survival under a dark cloud. Witnessing these occurrences, our hearts are deeply moved and we wish to come to their rescue. The compassionate thought of the Bodhi mind, which up to that time had not developed, will spontaneously arise. There are people who are sick but cannot afford the high cost of treatment and must therefore suffer needlessly for months or years to the point where some even commit suicide. There are the poor and unemployed whose wives and children are undernourished and sick, their clothing in rags. They wander aimlessly, pursued by creditors, or enduring hunger and cold, day in and day out. They can neither live decently nor die in peace. There are people who face difficult mental problems, without family or friends to turn to for advice and solace. There are those who are deluded and create bad karma, not knowing that in the future they will suffer retribution, unaware of the Dharma and thus ignorant of the way to emancipation. Witnessing these occurrences, our hearts are deeply moved and we wish to come to their rescue. The compassionate thought of the Bodhi mind, which up to that time had not developed, will spontaneously arise. In broader terms, as the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra taught in the Avatamsaka Sutra, great bodhisattvas develop great compassion by 10 kinds of observations of sentient beings. They see sentient beings have nothing to rely on for support. They see sentient beings are unruly. They see sentient beings lack virtues. They see sentient beings are asleep in ignorance. They see sentient beings do bad things. They see sentient beings are bound by desires. They see sentient beings drowning in the sea of birth and death. They see sentient beings chronically suffer from illness. They see sentient beings have no desire for goodness. They see sentient beings have lost the way to enlightenment. Bodhisattvas always observe sentient beings with these awarenesses. Having developed the great compassionate mind, we should naturally develop the great Bodhi mind and vow to rescue and liberate. Thus, the great compassionate mind and the great Bodhi mind interpenetrate freely. That is why to develop the compassionate mind is to develop the Bodhi mind. Only when we cultivate with such great compassion can we be said to have developed the Bodhi mind. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. Namo Adida Phat. Thanks so much for joining me today.